There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We got millions of reasons to let it all go. Hope we're not too broken. I know I'm not always strong, and I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see
Online folks. So just let me know when we're ready. All right. What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys so much for joining us. We are going to start today's session by just doing a quick intro. So I'll go first, so we can get the jitters out. My name is Alan. I'm going to be hosting today's class. This is one of a series of classes that White Picket Realty is opening up publicly. So before, these classes were done just to our members. Now what we want to do is we want to bring this to all agents in Houston. And there's a mission and a purpose to that, which we're going to discuss here shortly. Most importantly, I want to bring some information to you guys today about the importance of investing in real estate, something that we here are really incredibly passionate about. And I promise you guys I'm not going to talk a whole bunch about myself today, because that's really easy for me to do. So we're gonna skim through some of that part, and then we're gonna get to the stuff that you guys want to know about, and do our best to get to some of your questions and answers. So I'm gonna actually hand the mic real quick to Trisha, and we're gonna go around the room real quick. Just who are you? What brought you here? And what do you expect to get from today's class?
Okay, well, Trisha Mercado, I think most of you know me. I'm the TC, and I'm also an agent. Just joined White Picket not too long ago. What attracted me to Alan has always been that he has an investor heart, and he has a heart for helping people, so I thought this would be a great brokerage to join. From the classes that he has, I look to learn as much as possible, just kind of absorb his knowledge and hope that I can, I have a goal to get an Airbnb and have a couple of rentals, so I'm hoping that he can kind of hold my hand at one point and we can go through that.
I love that. Go ahead.
Olga Martinez, I work selling properties. I've been in real estate 21 years, and started as a loan officer with Countrywide. Everybody knows Countrywide. And then 24 years in the industry. And I want to learn about everything has to do with money.
I love it. I love it. Right there.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lizzie Geary. Just joined White Picket the end of last month, and I was just curious on the investment side. I eventually want to start investing myself, so just wanted to learn the ins and outs of investing.
Fantastic, fantastic. Juan?
Juan Macedo, I know Alan for a very long time, good friends. We're not going to say the age, right?
We're not talking about our age today, huh?
So just wanted to see if just learn knowledge, and I appreciate what Alan's doing for everybody in Houston area, and wanting to grow knowledge.
Awesome. My name is Dana Rosen. I'm an agent here at WPR. It's the only broker that I know that I've been to. And one of the things that when I heard about WPR and what they offered, I knew right away that's where I want to go, because eventually I do also want to invest in flipping, or I don't know, maybe so, I don't know. I know I want to invest my money in real estate. And so I actually had someone come to me from another agent that didn't feel they were being supported in what they wanted to do. And so I told him straight up, I said, look, I have not done this, but if you give me the opportunity, we can learn together. And he stuck with me, and I've been helping him show houses and things like that. However, this class came to me at the perfect time, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take the class about flipping so that I can understand it a lot more. And he was like perfect. So he did move forward with purchasing the home. We had submitted an offer and got it accepted, but then his lender was like, no, that's not a good deal, and da-da-da. Long story short, they offered to take him by the hand with his first flip, and then he knows that we're in this together, pretty much. And so when he gets ready to sell, he's gonna use me to list it, but then eventually the goal is to move on his own and learn, and obviously I can learn, I wanna do that. So that's why I'm here.
Fantastic. So you're already getting some experience in that. That's
And
very
it
good.
has not
How long have you
been,
been doing real estate? How long have you been doing it?
not even a year.
Oh, well, you're doing great then.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Thank you. I'll be a year in October, end of September, the 1st of October, when I actually activated my license.
Okay. That's good.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Awesome.
Good job.
Go ahead, Monica.
My name is Monica Hatchie. I've been in real estate for, I don't know, 6, 7 years now. But I found my white picket family after being in another agency where they didn't allow any kind of investment properties to be worked. So I felt like I was being limited.
Yeah.
And so went looking for somebody who wasn't going to limit my options and found White Picket, and I've been there ever since. I love this family. I also do finance as well. So I'm at a point where I'd like to add some investments to my portfolio. So this is what I'm wanting to learn.
Great.
Fantastic, fantastic. Michael, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Michael Garza. I'm currently a college student, but after I graduate college, I want to dip my toes in the water with real estate and learn about how I can have some financial freedom and hopefully have some investment properties.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Michael's visiting us from Penn State, and I was telling some of you guys a while ago that we connected through Instagram. And so for those of you that know me, you'll know that I took a little bit of break from social media a few years back, and it was interesting what I found. I found that it's incredibly difficult to run this business if you're not on social media. And two, just when I got back on it into being consistent and posting and really being active and thinking, well, nobody watches this anyway, who cares? Michael reaches out and he's like, hey, I want to talk to you. Let's figure out a way to work together. And boom, now here we are. And it's cool. It's cool to figure that out. It's cool to see those things. And today we're going to talk about what social media can do for you, especially when it comes to investing in real estate. But before we get to that, I want to ask you guys real quick, because this class is really all about you, and I want to be able to deliver as much value as possible in the next 2 hours. However, I need to be certain that you guys have some clarity around what the expectations are. And that is that in 2 hours, it would be nearly impossible to teach you everything there is to know about real estate investing. Does everybody, just shake your head if you understand what I mean. Okay, great. However, I'm going to put you guys through a crash course, and my hopeful ideal world is at the end of this, your brain should hurt. And you're going to be like, I can't wait to do it again, right? That's the goal from today's class. If you take a look at today's agenda, we are covering a whole lot, from myths to the money. And interesting, because when I shared this with a couple of business partners of mine, they said, everybody talks about the money last. Why are you talking about money first? And one of the things that I've learned by hosting classes like this is that money is usually the biggest hurdle, the biggest problem, right? When it comes to investing in real estate, that's when most people feel like, well, I don't have the money, why should I even try? Why should I even look into this? This is just pointless, right? And so I want to relieve that pressure in the beginning and show you guys that it's not really as hard as you think. So then we're going to go into analyzation. We're going to analyze a deal together. And I know that you guys know what you're doing when putting a CMA together. So don't worry. I'm not going to make this super painful. And that's why I'm only teaching realtors, because we're going to skim through some of the stuff that I know that you already know. Okay? But once we go through that, then we're going to talk about cost, which is the biggest mistake that most investors make, is not estimating the repair costs correctly. This is where most people lose money. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll go into what to fix, how to fix it, exit strategies. I also want to leave you guys with some knowledge as to how you can actually accumulate some rentals, even if you're writing off all of your income, because I know you're doing it because you're realtors and nobody likes to pay taxes. Bam, I said it. At the end, if you aren't incredibly bored and tired of listening to me speak, then you can take a quick little snapshot on the screen through a QR code and get some CE credit hours for today's class. I didn't know that some of you guys didn't know that, but yes, we do provide, or we are providing CE credit hours for our classes now. So with that said, let's talk about what you guys want to learn from today's class. What is something that you want to take away? Feel free, just throw it out there. I'm just going to write it down real quick up here. What do you want to leave with today? Don't worry, I'm going to share these with you.
Okay.
Yeah, you get a copy of all of this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like to,
So I want to learn the things, like what to look out for, like the common mistakes where people lose money on, or investors lose money on. Pretty much the things you don't know until you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to learn the hard way, I want to get the heads up on some of that information.
Nice. Okay, gotcha. Trisha, you had a thought?
yes, I think it's important to learn how to do the numbers. Typically, there's like a basic equation that you have to go through. Obviously, each transaction is different, but that basic equation and learning how to do the numbers and how to say no.
Very nice. How to say no.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Who else?
I want to learn what they both said, but also the terminology when it comes to flipping. It is different, like ARV, and I mean, now I know, but I didn't know when we were first talking about it, and I feel like there's a lot more, just understanding the terminology and what it means.
Got it.
As well as the numbers.
Okay. Fantastic. Anybody else? Monica, do you have anything?
Sure. You're, like, the alternative financing options.
Oh, okay. Why is alternative financial options for you?
Because I know that you mentioned a little bit about it, but, you know, you don't always have to have that, like, the huge down payment, or, you know, there's other ways to finance a deal.
Yeah.
And
So,
I don't think everyone's aware of it when it comes to invest.
you're talking about like how to acquire and how to keep?
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Come on in. You're just on time. All right, fantastic.
Is it a full-time job, finding properties?
Is it a full-time job?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Learn how to find the perfect property.
Okay, is it a full-time job? I really like that question. I think we're going to cover some of that. And then you had one?
Find the right property.
How do you find, you said something interesting. You said, how do I find the perfect property?
Perfect property.
I'm going to break your heart today. I'm so sorry.
And financing, like you said.
All right, well, we can definitely talk about how to find the perfect financing, but we're going to break hearts if we're going to look for perfect properties, because as Juan said, they just don't exist. And I think that's a misconception, and so that actually takes us into our first topic of conversation. But before we get that, I want to talk a little bit about what the mission is for this class. And the mission is simply to empower you as realtors to create financial freedom, wealth, and by doing so, to give you guys the tools to go out there and help other people do it too. That's the point of this class. And I do know that we have some folks that are not realtors out on the web watching this. You'll have to excuse me because we're going to speak realtor today, right? And we know that we, in the real estate world, we speak a different language. And to some people, we sound weird, right? To some people, we speak in different terms and whatnot. But today, it's about teaching you a tool so that then you can take that tool to go out there and help other people do it. But here's what happens. If you've ever taught anything, if you've ever helped someone do anything, even like when you help a kid do something, have you noticed that it just sharpens your skill a little bit? And so that's the idea, is if you can take anything from today, no matter what it is, and you can translate that to someone else efficiently, then that allows you to be able to add that tool to your tool belt, and that makes you just a sharper agent overall. I don't know about you guys, but when I started my sales career, I sold everything, right? Like when I started in sales, I started selling jewelry at the mall. And then I decided I didn't like jewelry, and even though I was making good money, I wanted to make more money, and then I decided to go into selling Cutco knives. Does anybody have Cutco knives? I sold Cutco knives door to door. I did that. And then I didn't like Cutco knives anymore, and I decided to sell Kirby vacuum cleaners. Has anybody ever sold Kirby or heard of Kirby? If you haven't heard of Kirby, you're way too young for this class. Way too young. Kirby vacuum cleaners are the absolute best vacuum cleaners in the world. Hope Kirby out there, who's probably not even in business anymore, listens to it. You still have one? Yes. Yes. My family still has a Kirby vacuum cleaner, and it's still badass. And I used to sell those door to door. Here's the thing. What we know about these companies that made them successful is that you couldn't go sell Cutco or Kirby, or you couldn't really sell anything unless you actually owned it. So in order to go sell Cutco knives, the first thing that you needed to do was buy a set of Cutco knives, and then you needed to go out and try it. You needed to go home and cut some stuff with it, and then cut some more stuff with it, and you take the scissors and you cut a penny with it. And when you did that presentation to your client was in just awe, right? And that's the point about being in real estate is, yes, you can help people buy and sell, but when you decide that it's time to buy one for yourself, and you decide that it's time to flip one for yourself or keep one for yourself, and I'm only talking about one, all of a sudden it gives you this incredible other piece of knowledge, this edge that about 90% of realtors don't have. Think about that. Now, right now we have approximately 45,000 realtors in the Houston market. There's going to be a slight crunch. Has anybody felt the crunch a little bit already? Yeah, there's a crunch happening in realtors that didn't plan for a shifting market, okay? So we're going to see a slight crunch of about 10 to 20%. Some people are estimating even more than that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, if you're a broker like me, you don't really want people going back to work full time to sell Cutco knives and Kirby vacuum cleaners, if they still exist, right? Because that takes away from the pool of agents. But if you're an agent, the less agents there are, the better your business is. So this is a really good time to be in real estate. Now, some people will disagree with me out there, and they were going to say, well, no, it's a terrible time because interest rates are high and inventory this and that's and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And the market's cooling and the market's this. Guys, let's get past all that today and understand that this is not new to real estate. Changes like ones we've gone through in the last 2 years, they're not new. What is new is how fast the changes are happening. So I started sitting down and I started thinking, okay, how many markets have I gone through? And I got to about 7 before I was like, man, that's too many. I'm really old. And then I realized, well, 3 of those markets you've gone through with me just in the last 2.5 years. Okay? Chew on that. There are agents that will retire in the entire lifetime, 30 years in their career, that will have only gone through 2 markets. And you've gone through 3 in the last 2.5 years. What I'm trying to say is that the agent that will make it to this next level will need to be sharper and better than those other 90%, because the 10% that's still not out there trying to be sharper and better, they're just simply going to fall apart. And that's already happening. We're already seeing that. They're just weeding themselves out. They're not willing to go through the process of learning or training or refining. And because of that, they're just going to slowly but surely see their way back to selling cars or widgets or solar panels. I don't know what it is, but that's generally how things go. Does everybody agree? Can everybody see that change is happening? Great, because what we want to do is make certain that today you're building everything that it takes to add that extra special skill and be at that top 10%. Not with the other folks, not with the 90%, the top 10%. And it takes for you to make that effort. It takes for you to actually to have your own pair of Cutco knives, to have your own Kirby vacuum cleaner, to go out there and say, hey, you should buy more real estate because here's my experience in it. Here's how I built this. Here's how I created that, right? Now, in the meantime, you can use other people's experience. And we're going to talk about that. because partnerships are one of the best ways to start investing in real estate. So if you're thinking, well, I don't have all the experience that he's talking about just yet, don't worry. You can borrow some in the meantime. And that's why working with the right folks and connecting with the right folks is super important. Now, I promised you guys before I started today's class that I wasn't going to talk a lot about myself. Okay? So I'm going to make this really brief and really, really quick. All right? We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about some of the properties that we flipped this year, just so you can kind of get an idea on what's happening in the market. So these are two that I've actually already closed. We picked this one up from driving by this house, which was falling apart. You see how awful it looks? And we sent a letter. Actually, we sent about 8 letters, and then eventually the lady called me, and she said, "Hey, I'm getting ready to lose this house. It's in a lawsuit with the city, and if somebody doesn't buy it right now, closes in a week, then I'm losing it." We bought it. We bought it for $245. We put $200 into it, way more than we ever thought it was going to take, because guess what? Everything has all of a sudden become way more expensive in the last 2 years, right? So we actually budgeted $160. We spent $200. Full loan amount on that. We borrowed everything. All in was $445. We sold it for $565. Is that a pretty good payday? It's a pretty decent payday. We made commission on that, and then on top of that, we made a pretty nice little ownership payday. Then somebody called us and was like, "Hey, this apartment is super trashed, and we want like $95,000 for it. Will you take it?" We said, "Absolutely not. It's super duper trashed. You can see how bad it was." So we bought that. We made an offer at 60. They came back and said, "Well, we can't do that, but we can take 65." And this one was actually brought to me by an agent here in this room. And it was brought to me as a partnership deal. We put it together. I got him the money. We rehabbed it together. We got to a loan amount of $102 on the payoff. We sold it for $142. We set a comp. $42,000 in 3 months. That's not a terrible payday. He made half. I made half. To me, it was a slam dunk. We were zero out of pocket on that. And these are the reason I'm showing you these is because while these are deals that are outside of the norm, I want you to see how cool some of these get. They get even cooler if I show you some of the other ones that we're working on. And this is what's currently on the books. So we bought this whole block, which is here in 5th Ward. So these are under construction, under renovation right now. This is 4 units there. A little store, which is now a sound studio that somebody rents to make music in. And then there's another little house right here. Those are all under renovation right now. We have another one over in the River Oaks area. This one was flooded completely. Picked that one up for $550,000. We're putting about $200,000 into it. So we're going to be into it for how much? $750 plus holding and closing costs. We're going to talk about those numbers. We're going to be into it for maybe $800. It's worth about $1.2. Okay, and then we have one more that we're getting ready to list here in the next couple weeks. This one is over in the Maryland area. This one came, guess from where? Just MLS. Just MLS. It just came from MLS. I just did a search, and I found it, and I made an offer, and they accepted because they needed to sell and they needed a lot of foundation work, and it was the perfect deal, okay? Or close to it, at least. This one we picked up for $330. We're putting about $120 into it. So where does that put us? That's $350, $450. We're listing it for $600. Okay, so we're gonna, yes, there's gonna be closing costs and commissions to pay for, but there's about $100,000 payday there after everything's said and done for. And those are the type of deals that I'm shooting for right now. Some higher margin deals or multifamily deals. And that's something that has taken me about 10 years to scale up to. I have a property manager and a designer and an entire team of people working 7 days a week, nonstop. Obviously, I can't have them all here to speak to you guys, but right now, there are people working on all of these projects. If you drive by them, there are people there. And that's the important part of all of this, is that I get a chance to be here with you guys and go through a really tough market and go through the changes and go through all of the nonsense that we're all going through, because no one's exempt from it. And these things are still working in the background, right? And so if we can work together to get you guys to where you're also getting this additional income stream, this extra little piece of pie that comes along occasionally, then it just adds some consistency to what you're already doing. But I will tell you, I promised you guys that I was going to be completely blunt and honest with you about everything that's happening. And if I'm going to do that, then I need you guys to agree to do the same thing. Does everybody agree to do that? Okay, all right. You remember when I said 7 markets? Well, about my 3rd market in, I took a huge loss, about a $200,000 to $300,000 loss on a project. Actually, it was a couple projects. And I think that's the stuff that people leave out when they tell you flipping is awesome and you should go out there and do it and blah, blah, blah. And while I do believe that, you should, this is the part where I actually have to tell you exactly what you're getting yourself into, because there is risk involved in doing projects like this, right? And so today we'll talk about how to mitigate that risk, how to reduce some of it, and what I learned from my mistake. But the biggest lesson that I took from that 3rd market shift that swiped away my entire year's income and took about $300,000 of my savings away was that this is a risky move in a volatile market with shifts that happen that we cannot control. And so the only way to offset that is to have a business that works well, that operates and that generates income, i.e. your real estate business. And when you make extra money, you put it into the investments so that you can have a better chance on multiplying that money. But don't rely solely on just this, and what I mean is just flipping, because chances are you'll run into that 3rd market just like me. Now, what did I do after that? Well, I learned the hard way, flipping is not the key to everything, and I decided to start keeping some of them. And so we went to lots of classes, and I want to just show you the stuff that we're managing right now so you guys can get an idea. We're managing about 41 Airbnb listings right now, plus other rentals. I was showing Michael, this is about what's come in so far since January, just on Airbnb income. I want you guys to see the possibilities, okay? I'm not bragging here. I want you to see what's possible for you out there so that you can create the same. And it doesn't take that much to get to this point. It took approximately 5 years of me saying, you know what? Tired of losing money on just flips. I need to build my real estate business. I need to build my passive income through houses that I can rent. And then I actually just happen to like the Airbnb side of the business, because even though it's a little bit more management intensive, it gets me a little bit more money than market rents, right? And since we're all in real estate, and that's all we do, we can handle some of these extra calls and texts and stuff that come along with that. All right, so that was just me talking about me. I promise you to keep it brief. Was that brief? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, hang on a second. Lost my page there. All right, so we talked about what some of the buying concerns are. Here's what I normally get, and you're going to tell me if these are right and if there's anything missing. The first thing that I get is not knowing what to look for. How do I know if it's a good deal? Okay, this is probably the main reason, besides money, that people aren't out there doing it, right? So we're going to kill some of these myths in a minute on money, but most importantly, I want to empower you with what does a good deal look like, okay? Financial stress is the next part, is how am I going to fund my project? What if I don't have any money? And that is a very normal fear in any market, and you're absolutely right, and I'm not going to lie to you today and tell you that you can start flipping houses tomorrow with zero money out of pocket, because I'm not selling you some sort of course today, okay? Right? And when you go to these seminars at the Hilton downtown, it's easy for them to tell you that because they want to take $500 a month from you for the rest of your life so that they can eventually tell you that you need to go and make money before you start flipping houses, okay? But I will tell you that I've done multiple deals that didn't take money out of my pocket, and it was simply because I knew the right people. I knew somebody that had an extra $15,000 or $20,000, and I knew I had a deal that required $20,000. And I just pieced both together, okay? And so when you can be a person that knows how to piece things together, how to build people together, and how to provide value, and ultimately that's what it comes down to, bringing value to everyone around you. Last but not least, clueless on where to begin. Don't worry, we're going to help you. We're going to give you guys a step-by-step plan at the end of this. All right, how am I doing so far? Am I doing okay? All right, fantastic. We got a couple things to start doing. So, who loves math here? Do we have any math whizzes? Nobody. Look at this. Nobody raised their hand. I love this because I have a 13-year-old kid, and he's always telling me, he's always complaining about his math classes. Now, he's good at math, right, thankfully, but he complains about them all the time. And he goes, I'm never going to use any of this when I grow up, Dad. Like, what's the point of this? Yeah, and I feel like I've said the same thing at least a handful of times, even in my adult life. And then every time I turn the corner, I'm like, oh crap, I got to do more math, right? So I got a chance to show him some of this, and he was like, oh my God, this is crazy. You're going to teach people math. Today we're going to talk about how to fund your deals first. Totally backwards than what most people will do, okay? There's a real reason for this. Normally we do this and we tell you, oh, we get you all the information, and then you feel excited and you feel like, okay, I'm ready to go out and buy houses, and then the time's up and I'm like, hey, by the way, here's how you fund your deal, and you're like, crap, I didn't learn anything from that part. So we're doing this backwards for a reason today. We're going deep into funding, because if you understand funding, you understand everything that it takes to get into a deal. All right? Now, it works this way in residential, and for those of you that aspire to be in commercial, it works the exact same way. You understand the loan process, you understand the purchase box, okay? So when you say, I don't know what a good deal looks like, the answer is find what the purchase box is by talking to someone that lends money in that realm, okay? So you have a lunch, you have a get-together, you go to an event, you go to a networking event, and you find someone that lends money for whatever you want to buy, and you ask, what does your loan box look like? And they say, well, here's how I lend money on my real estate. Now, after many, many years of doing this, I decided to try my effort in also doing the lending side of the business, and it gave me perspective, right? I understand why a lender uses this formula, but it wasn't until then until I really got it, right? So here's how this works. Who wants to learn some math? Yeah? All right. You guys don't be too excited, all right? You guys don't be so excited about learning some math with me today.
What was MAO?
Oh, we're going to get there. We're going to get there. ARV, after repair value. MAO is maximum allowable offer. Do you guys need that back on there for just a second while I take a drink? All right, here we go, folks. Woo! You see all those numbers right there? You ready for this? You're not ready for this.
Yes,
You are? Okay. If you tell me you're ready, we'll do it. This is what we call a fee schedule. All right. If you're a realtor and you've never seen an investment fee schedule, they come in all sorts of forms and sizes. This is a more simple one. This is one that if I am lending money on an investment property, this is how I produce the potential loan to anybody that's looking to borrow, okay? So at the top, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate approximately what that property is worth. Don't worry, we're going to do that one together here in just a minute, okay? And this is actually a really cool deal for us to do together because this is from an investor that requested a loan on this property, okay? So we're going to go through the processing of what this investor is going to feel and what they're actually going to get and then see if it actually makes sense for us to lend on it or for us to invest in it in any other way. Maybe this guy doesn't want this deal and he wants to sell it to one of you, okay? All right, so what he told me is I think this property is worth $515,000 and in a little bit we're going to do some comps together, okay? When was the last time you guys did comps? Last night, right? I mean, you're like, every day, what are you talking about? Good. This is why I love this class. All right, so do you remember that we talked about that 70% rule, right? Like in here, we said, well, this is the maximum, this is the magical formula. Check out how it works inside of a loan schedule. So we take 515, multiply it by 70%, excuse me, let me fix that. Give me 1 second. There we go. Now you guys can see that, right? All right. So we take that 515, multiply that by 70%. That gives us a loan amount of $360,000. That is what your lender is willing to lend you on this property. Okay? Now, what is your typical interest rate on a private money loan or a hard money loan? It varies. You can get hard money anywhere between 10% on average to about 15%. Some people charge more than that. I wouldn't pay more than that if I was you. Okay? There's differences in different private money lenders, different hard money lenders. But what you'll notice is that once you have a deal, it's not real hard to find someone to fund it. Because who wouldn't want to make 10 to 15% on their money on a deal that's worth 515 and they're only going to let somebody borrow at 360? Where's the risk? Well, the risk is in not knowing that borrower, if that borrower knows what they're doing, right? Are they really going to rehab this right? Are they going to make a mistake? Are they going to make the interior walls hot pink or bright yellow or something weird and you know, what are they really going to do with this house? Is this going to be a profitable deal, or do I have to take this back and rehab it again? That's what the lender is thinking. And that's why I'm telling you this, because if you understand that, then you know how to work through that and around that. All right? Now, the way that these loans typically work is they're going to give you, they're going to allot the money to both purchase and renovate. We're going to get to the renovation here in just a minute, okay? See how there's a renovation right there, right? But what that means is that they're not going to hand you $100,000 at closing. It makes no sense. Like, why would I give someone that is flipping their first or second home or even their 10th home $100,000 at closing? That they can just go party with it. Well, the way that it works is that money goes into an escrow account. An escrow account is just a separate account that's being held either by the lender, sometimes it could be a third party, and that's money that's committed to being sent to you as part of a loan based on work completed. So, let's just say you complete the foundation work, and that costs you $10,000 or $15,000. You call and you say, hey, I'm ready for my draw. Each time that they go out there and they say, okay, yes, that did in fact get completed, then they're going to charge you $125. Now, if your payment is $10,000 for that foundation, they're just going to deduct it from that amount, and you'll get the $9,000 and change. You with me?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is this going through a hard money lender or just a regular
This is the same exact loan that I provide as a private lender to my agents or anybody out there that wants to flip a house. This is the exact same loan setup that you would get from any hard money lender out there, okay? The difference between a private lender and a hard money lender is you deal with a corporation or you deal with a person, okay? But essentially, the loan is set up the same way, okay?
Are we gonna get a copy of all of
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't think you were gonna have to write all this down, right?
No, I like to print and make notes, so if we have a break, can we print a copy?
Of course, yes. You guys are gonna get a copy of all of this.
The parking over here should be fine, right? She parked in the front, that should be fine?
Yeah, you're fine. Unless the tow truck comes out here, then you gotta run. In the break, you can move it to the back. In the break, you can move it to the back. Don't worry. Michael will help you do that. All right, and we'll take a break here in just a little while. All right, next thing. You see where it says additional options and terms, okay? Well, it says normally we're going to charge you 3 points to get this loan, but if you don't want to pay those points up front, then we'll charge you 4 and you'll pay them when you sell the house later. Why do you think we do something like that? Or why would a lender consider doing something like that?
To make more money at the end, if the borrower can't,
Right. Maybe the borrower doesn't have a ton of cash sitting on the sideline ready to invest into a house. Maybe he wants to reduce the out-of-pocket, something like that. There's reasons why that happens. Now, not every lender will do something like that, but when you have that relationship, you can move some fees around, and it makes it to where it's easier for you to be less money out of pocket. Maybe even find a way to do like a zero money out of pocket deal. Now this is a pretty dang good deal already, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about in just a minute. So here's the first cost, loan origination. Does everybody understand how loan origination works in the investment side of the world? It's simple. That's what you pay the lender to take the risk. Okay? It's a fee on top of the interest rate. Next, there's some typical standard processing legal fees. That's just part of any loan that you're going to do. And then, of course, there's closing fees. So you're going to have to pay your escrow fees. Now, these escrow fees are pretty high, right? Most escrow fees now are running like what, $500 max? So we do pad this, and you definitely, when you present something like this to a client, and we are going to talk about how you present this to a client, you want to overestimate, right? So that you don't actually come in way, way higher later, and then they get ticked off at you. So we're always going to pad some of this to make sure that it comes back a little bit lower. But what we're doing there is calculating all the potential closing fees, including recording fees, hazard insurance. We even dropped in some miscellaneous fees there just in case. And this house, they're purchasing it for $262,000. That's what they calculated that they could get that house for, okay? And they calculated that it was going to need $100,000. You with me so far? Now, if you take a look at all of that and you say, well, there's $18,000 in cost, you're going to pay all of this, $262,000, $100,000 in repairs, plus closing costs, then, do you remember that loan amount that we had up there? What was it?
515.
No, that's the, yeah, there it is, 316. So all we're doing is, okay, we're willing to lend you 360, and it's going to cost you about 318, and so when we deduct it and we add the credits, you're going to be bringing about $1,800 to the table, $18,000 to the table. Now, how much is $18,000 from a $515,000 house? Is that what does the math look like on that? What percentage is that? Remember I told you we were going to do some math? So here's how it works. 18,000, we're just going to do some round numbers.
less than 5%.
Is it less than 5%?
It's like divided by the ARV, is that?
Yeah, divided by 515. Mine didn't work. What does yours say?
I don't think mine's worth too.
0.3?
Yeah, so I got 0.3.
Is it 0?
0.3, yeah.
So that's 3, what is it?
3.6.
Okay, 3.6%. Okay, let me ask you guys as realtors. If you walked into your lender's office and said, I want to buy this house that needs $100,000 in repairs, and I only want to put 3.6% down, what do you think they would tell you? That noise? That's the exact response. That's exactly what they're going to tell you. They're going to chuckle and they're going to say, yeah, you need to go on. All right? This is the power of understanding the numbers, okay? Because what we're looking at right now isn't an expense of $18,000 for you to buy a house that's $515,000. What you're looking at right now is how do you leverage your knowledge to buy a $515,000 house without putting 20% down. Because 20% down on 515 is over 100 grand. You with me so far? This is the power. This is what I'm talking about. This is leverage. So this person is approximately $20,000 out of pocket for a $500,000 house. Where else can you do that? It's not possible, right? So, of course, they still have to go out, they have to negotiate that 262, right? We still have to verify that $100,000 in repairs, and then we still have to verify that 515. And so we're going to do that together today. We're going to run some comps on this house and figure out if it is worth approximately 515, more or less. We're going to put together a quick little estimate on repairs, and then we're gonna take it from there and see how crazy this person is, or maybe they aren't. But I want to ask you guys a question, just really quick. What happens if this person goes back to this property and says, actually, I think I can get them for cheaper. I think these people are really motivated. What happens if they come in and they get it for $250? What do you guys think? Is that possible? Sure. Okay, so $250 there would put us at $12,000 less in purchase costs, which was then put us at $12,000 less bringing to the table. So how much is he bringing? $6,000. Okay, what happens if that person goes back and says, I'm going to get this at $240? That's $22,000 below what his projected original purchase price is. What happens to that estimated out of pocket? What's that? You could, essentially. You could, essentially. That is up to the discretion of the lender, if they will let you take money at closing. Most of them will not. You have to have a really good relationship for that. Okay? So when they tell you that you make your money when you buy, there's a couple reasons why. Okay? Number one reason is you make your money when you buy, when you don't make the mistakes that most investors make by underestimating things. Number two is by negotiating the right price. Because if this person goes back and gets that property at $240, that's 22 grand under what he's estimating, he will then zero his loan out. So how much will he bring to the table? Zero. And how much of an asset will he own? A $500,000 asset. Okay? Now I'm going to blow your mind even a little bit more. Maybe he goes back to the lender or to the seller and he says, I really need to buy this for $250, it needs a ton of work. And the seller says, go fly a kite. I have 3 other offers, and if you don't close tomorrow or next week, we're done. Go on. And now you know you have a really fantastic deal on your hands and you really want to try to make this deal work. But you don't have $18,000 in your pocket. What can you do?
Tell them to let you pay it at closing.
That's smart. That's really smart. Mr. Such and Such, look, I understand you have to have 262, but I'm about $20,000 short. What would it look like if I paid you after I fixed it up and resold it? That's fantastic. Keep going. What are some other ideas? There you go. Bam. Right. And so what would it look like to partner up on something like that? Yeah. Plain and simple. Yeah. You can call me. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's one option. I'm one of millions of options out there who probably have $20,000 ready to deploy, right? And so what are you going to offer them? It's totally up to you, right? But for a deal like this, it's called gap funding, if you ever want to look it up. There's companies that make money just on this. And they charge anywhere between 15 to 20%. All paid at the end. So if you tell me that you don't know how to do deals with zero money out of pocket after this meeting, yes.
So, gap funding, I haven't heard of that before, so are they charging 15 to 20% of what they let you borrow?
Correct.
Or of the total stuff?
What they let you borrow. Yeah,
And they're letting you borrow the closing costs, basically?
correct. Correct. Yes. A little trick of the trade. It's something that a lot of people use when they're first getting started. Okay? Obviously, nobody really wants to get a loan for 15 to 20%. But let me just ask you, who here has credit cards? Have you checked your interest rate? Minimum. It's minimum 20%. Have you checked the Amex? What's Amex at?
22. American Express?
Yeah, it's 22 if you have good credit. You must have
740.
good credit because it's 22 if you have good credit. Okay? If you have okay credit, it's 28. It's 27.9. And you pay it all the time. I see you guys, right? Put it on the plastic. We pay it. We all pay it. Okay? I'm not saying you guys. We all pay it. I'm including myself in that. So don't let any of these interest rates, just like you shouldn't let your clients be scared by current interest rates because opportunity is still there, don't let interest rates scare you. Because it's not about what you're paying in interest rates, it's about what you're building, the relationship that you're building, the cash flow or asset that you're building. Who cares what you're paying if the house is worth $515,000 and you went into it with zero money out of pocket and now you have this $500,000 asset and you're ready to turn it around and make $100,000 plus on it. You with me? Once you pay out these extra pennies, none of it made a difference, right? But see, we get stuck. We get stuck on that, and I know we do because I've been there, and so do our clients. Our clients tell us all. How many of you guys have had the client? I'm just waiting for the market to crash. What do you mean you're waiting for the market to crash? What told you that the market was going to crash? Well, I know interest rates have to go down at some point. To what? To 3%? It's not going to happen. It's not ever going to happen again.
What I was telling was that, I mean, you're paying 100% interest rate on your rental.
Yeah.
Here, you're gonna pay 7.
Yeah. What is the interest rate?
100%.
Yeah, I had
What are you
someone reach
talking
out
about?
to me about a
Yeah.
lease, and I, because of the interest, they wanted to wait for it to go down. I said, look, let's keep it real. Guess what? He
Yeah.
just closed on his house last month. They bought it.
All right. Any questions on how this fee schedule works?
On the gap funding, the term is it typically just short term because it's just to fix the house up and sell it?
That is
So
correct.
Just a few months, maybe a year? Or-
It's generally a one-year loan. So any investment loan that you get is generally a 6-month to 1-year lease. Sorry, wrong one. Oh, that's food? Oh, we like you. Come on in. Come on in. This is a good opportunity for us to take a quick commercial break. So we're going to go to break on here. We're going to get some food in here. And if you guys need to go to the restroom, make a phone call. Also, for those of you guys that, if you need to make an emergency
I just can't let you go. Lord knows that I've tried to. You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made this mess and left me with the pieces. Now I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus. I can't forget.
Testing 1, 2. Testing a new mic.
I've been thinking too much lately.
We heard you guys out there weren't hearing us real well, so we're gonna change the mics out. See if we can make this a little bit better on this next session.
I just need to clear my head.
I'm on mic A. Testing.
I've been stuck on memory way, but it's not like I need it. And we may have some history, but we don't have to.
Test. Test 1, test 2, test 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Does that sound okay?
Now I'm gonna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus. I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. last forever. We've been all around, felt too alone. Do you remember how your love made me better? Just tell me how. I will be the one who drives you to the precipice. I could be the one who lead us deep into the mist. And all I hear is
additional points of value. But one of the cool things that we're going to be doing for everyone that is attending is that we're going to allow you guys to take it over and over and over again without paying. So if we add something cool, like maybe resources for these kind of things, then you guys can just take it again next time and not pay anything extra. If you decide to come in here and be here, then probably the only thing we'll ask is that you just cover your costs, right? But if you want to be virtual, 100% free from this point forward. We'll get you guys a promo code, and that way you guys can retake this anytime in the near future. And we are planning on hosting these often. The idea is that we want to be able to, this year, we want to be able to reach and have a conversation with hundreds of agents. And so it's cool that we have the online folks, because that allows us to reach more people. But I really enjoy this better, the being in front of you better. I think it would be really awkward if it was just me in this room with a camera here, right? And some people do that, but I'd rather not. All right, who wants to analyze some real estate? Yeah? Now, I probably should start by letting you know that everyone typically analyzes a little bit differently. And there's probably not a wrong or right way to do it, but there is a way to understand the data so that it makes sense for you as an investor. And I think maybe if you see it a way that your lender will see it, then again, understanding the lending side of the business will give you some clarity. Okay? All right. Let me see here. Having some tech issues. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a quick CMA on that property that we were just putting a loan together on. Okay? Before we get to that, just out of curiosity, what questions came up as you saw that fee schedule? What things did you not clearly understand? Okay? Does everybody understand how the repairs work?
I won't have questions until I see it.
Okay. Okay, so we need to figure out how repairs work, and we're going to cover that in just a minute. But does everybody understand that draws, what draws are? What are draws when you talk about an investment loan? That's money that comes out of the escrow account for work that's been completed. That's a reimbursement to you of work completed. So this is important because you guys just asked me about what it looks like to get gap funding for deals. But if you can get a gap funder, that's fine. Now you're zero money into it. But if you don't have money to get the work started and a piece of it get completed, how are you going to push the work along? Okay? So thinking about these things is going to be really important as you start putting some of these things together.
How many draws do you get?
As many as you want. Some companies do limit you to 3 or 4 draws. I've never seen why people would do that. Totally up to you, but you don't want to do a ton of them because it costs you $125 each time.
Right.
And as investors, we're cheap. Investors are cheap. We just like to save money everywhere, right?
But it also depends on the lender.
Yeah.
Because I know some lenders will do a package of, we're doing the foundation first, and then it includes only what they're doing for that first time, and that's what they'll give you.
Yeah.
And then they continue by whatever's next.
Correct.
So
So they'll have their own guide.
They'll give you their own guide. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And every lender is a little bit different. They're going to give you different steps, different guides. The important part of using a lender on your first handful of deals, and by the way, just so that we're clear, I still use private money to fund all of my deals. We've been doing this for 10 plus years. I wouldn't want to just take on a deal without getting a second or third pair of eyes on it. And that's what the private lenders do. That's the value. Yeah, of course they're making some money, but on top of that, they're saying, hey, you're either going to lose your buns and you should think about something else, or they're saying, hey, actually this is a deal worth funding and it's a deal worth you doing, right? A good lender will give you some additional insight into that. All right, so check this out. So this one was a property that was apparently in a fire.
Oh, I saw that one.
You've seen that? Is this in your neck of the woods?
No, it's not, but we were looking in that area, and then I saw this one. Yep, it's beautiful where it was. So candy.
Cool, right? Now, this one gets a little bit intricate because when you start looking at properties that need this much work because they've been burned out, there are different levels of knowledge that you want to get get comfortable with, including what the city will require you to do. Okay, so before you jump into if you bring me as a first-time investor a house like this that's burned down, I'm gonna worry for you, okay? Maybe this is not the right one for you to jump on your first round, but if you've done a full renovation and now you're just ready to take on a challenge like this, that's okay, as long as you also clear it with the city first, because the city may deem a property that's fire damaged to be a tear down. It depends on how much work that property needs. There's a threshold that the city will allow you to either renovate or, sorry, you got to scrap it. And it's based on whether once you renovate it, will it be a livable place with all of the safety standards, the current code safety standards, okay? Now, most of that can be found in a report that is provided by the fire department after the fire happens. So if you decide to go this route, you're gonna wanna say, hey, is there a fire report on this? Do you have the report from the fire department? Has an engineer looked at it? Okay, those are questions that you may wanna ask. In the meantime, what we're really doing right now is just figuring out, did this investor, was this investor crazy when he said that this house was worth $515 or not, okay? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna compare and analyze the potential value of this house. But this is where I think a lot of realtors make mistakes, is they'll say, well, it's probably worth less or more than what they're asking. I mean, that's a great price. We're not looking at what the current price is, because we could care less, right? What we're really looking at is the future value, and when we talk about future value, that's why we call it after repair value. Because we have to guesstimate to the best of our ability and use our good judgment what we can resell this property for had it been, or once it is, fully updated and repaired. Now in this one, it's pretty easy to figure out what repairs we're gonna have to do, don't you think? What do we have to do? Everything, okay? But most properties aren't that clear and easy. Sometimes the bathrooms have been repaired in the last 15 years, and you're like, do I do these? Do I not? Okay, so we'll work through some of those challenges. Now, let's talk about what the steps are to figure out what this property could potentially be worth. So we have a 3459 square foot house, built in 2015, 8,900 square foot lot. It's got 4 bedrooms, 4 full baths. That's pretty awesome. All right, and it's got a half bath, which means it's probably got a half bath in the downstairs area, and that makes it attractive as well. Now, first thing I like to do is come in here and see what kind of market are we in. Like, is this an oversaturated market? Is this a market that's not selling? This looks to be about a pretty balanced market. There are 10 properties available. There are 6 that are active and 4 that are pending. That's about a 40% rate of properties that are selling versus active. That's awesome. That's still a market that is moving right now. Now, the next thing I like to do is just check the square footage. So I hit this little button up here, and I say, well, I only really want to look at properties that are about the same square footage first. So we're looking at 3459 square feet, and I'm only looking really a couple hundred square feet plus and a couple hundred square feet minus, depending on the size of the house. I will adjust that slightly. In this case, here's what I see. I see 35, this is where we're at, and you can see what it sold for, right? And I see that there's another one, check this out, 3528 pending. All right, here's one at 3535. This one is sold, that's awesome. How much is that? 527. All right, and then it jumps up to 540, but look, price per square foot is the same, about the same size lot. It's just slightly larger. This is a very good comparable. Still within just a couple hundred square foot difference, right? All right, let's keep going. Here's one is 200 square feet bigger. about the same price per square foot, but this one's a little bit older. Check that out. That actually kind of helps us out. We see that that one's active though, and it's only been on market 13 days. And what I'm really looking for is at least 3 sold comparables. So right now we have a pending at 550. We don't know what that will actually close at. We have a sold at 527, a sold at 540, but those are about the same price per square feet. We have this active at 540, but we don't really know what that one's going to do. So we aren't looking at active properties mostly for potential value, but we do look at them for marketing purposes in terms of competition. This is our competitive option for a buyer. All right, check this out. Does that say 640? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's crazy. But I also see that it's also in a different neighborhood. You see that?
Winrose is different.
So totally different. Now, I will say I don't normally go above the wall. The wall for me is like, it used to be Beltway, but I think I make an exception now and go about like 99. So if this is above the wall for me, it's not a neighborhood that I know. And sometimes you guys may have your own set of walls that you don't know, and it will take for you to call and find out someone that lives in that area and understand it. So what I would do here is I would call and say, hey, who lives in this general area? Hey, what's the difference between Royal Park and Winrose? Well, Winrose turns out to be a much nicer neighborhood. Now I see that if somebody rehabs a house in that area, they're going to get not 149 per square foot, but they're getting about 163 a square foot. And so like a 3,900 square foot house will sell in the 640s. That's awesome. All right, but check this out. Winrose has 3 solid comps. Then we get into a house that's about, what is this? About 700 square feet larger than our subject house. It's still in the same neighborhood, right? This is not in an exact comparable, but because we still don't have 3, I may take this one on as something that I can look into and analyze it and see how did they get 698? They got way more. I thought Winrose was going to be the nicer neighborhood, but this one's getting about the same price per square foot after all. So. I'm going to go through the process of understanding this neighborhood and understanding what's happening there. We're getting into some much bigger properties. These are 1,000 square feet bigger or more, so I'm going to just skip those for now. And then I'm also going to look and see if there's anything that's smaller, selling for a whole lot less, just in case that maybe I missed anything. So I do see like some 3,100 square foot homes in Winrose that are selling for 122 a foot, but they're older. You see how these are 2003? And we have what year was our build? 2015. Okay, so I may say, well, those are older properties. Those need probably a little bit more repairs. I can understand why they're selling for less. All right, here's one. This is only a year older. They got only 140 a foot, and it's a sold property in Laurel Park. I need to understand why that happened. And it's really close to our subject property. You see that .1 right there? Now, how many of you guys are looking at this right now and thinking, I knew all this already? I didn't need any of this. Okay, if you're thinking that, it's okay. I understand. Because there is at least one person in this room and a handful of people in our virtual room who have probably never analyzed a property in this manner. And that's because this is completely different than what you're going to do for your client, okay? For your buyer or seller clients. Now, if you're helping a real estate investor, this is what you're doing, is you're saying, hey, let's take a look at the market. This is what the market's doing, okay? Now, I like to go back and say, all right, well, those are my comparables. Let me see what we got. We got one active, that's at 540. We got one pending, that's at 550. And then we have, oh look, we got a couple more than 3. We have 4 or 5 that we need to consider looking at and seeing why they're in that price point. All right. So, what do we do first? Who wants to tell me what the next step is?
You look at the pictures.
There you go. Yeah. So let's take a look at the pictures and figure out if we can see what's happening. What's the difference between this 479 and the 640? That's the real question. Because in a minute, you guys are going to tell me how much repairs this house truly needs and what we need to do to get it to that level. Okay. So let's look at this.
Anything wrong with that house? Anything that you guys are seeing?
Is that the 640?
This is the 479.
To me, it's outdated.
Do you see some outdated features?
The carpet.
Carpet, right?
Yeah.
And this carpet looks like it's
Dirty.
dirty. It hasn't been washed in a while. Right? What does the flooring tell you? It's old. Yeah, it's like a 90s floor in this house. Why would they put that? The kitchen isn't bad. Right? So this is where being a realtor really comes in handy in this part of the business. Believe it or not, most people don't have an eye for the things that you guys and I are seeing right now, right? Like, we can look through here and say, crap, that carpet is horrible. But a regular buyer, a regular person that doesn't see houses every day, it's just a regular house, and it looks just fine. It looks livable, it looks okay, right? They have a beautiful kitchen, they have vaulted ceilings, coffered ceilings. Look at that bathroom.
The bathroom was updated.
Yeah, right? Now, because there's such a price difference between this one and the 640, we're gonna look at the 640 next, and then we'll look at the ones in between. And then we're gonna determine what our potential after repair value truly is. Now, let's see, 690 was not 640, it was 690. Let's take a look at that one. What do you see first? The other one had a 3-car garage. But it looked bigger to you, why? What else do you see immediately?
Better picture.
Much better picture. Yeah, did they hire a better agent?
Yes.
Someone that invested in the right photographer? Not a photo shoot with their iPhone? What else are they seeing? What else are they doing right now?
Green grass.
A drone.
Drone shot, yeah, right. So this agent probably really took the time to market this property correctly, right? And so we're gonna see a big difference. Oh, look at the difference between that picture and this one.
Photoshop much? No.
Look at that. That's crazy, right? Let's take a look at the inside. Okay, what do you immediately see?
No carpet.
No carpet. Yeah. No carpet at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good looking kitchen. Now, interestingly enough, it's a different color kitchen, but it's not much different, right? In terms of what's available.
Did I see 4-car garage or 3-car garage? I think it's a 4-car.
I thought I saw 3, but we'll look at that. Is the bathroom much different?
This one looks smaller.
Yeah. And look at this, they have carpet upstairs too. But it's clean. That's absolutely right.
The gym.
Oh, look, they have a little gym room.
Second one of the
Oh wait, it's one bay of the garage is set up as a gym. Got it. Oh, look at that.
outdoor living.
They got a little outdoor living area. Okay, good stuff. That's it. That's all we got. Okay, now hang on a second, because I got some realtor questions to ask you guys. If you're the seller and you want to sell the first one, and your realtor says, well, you can get 479 or you can get 698, which one do you want to go with? What do you think you as a seller will say? Of course, everybody's going to say, well, I want 698, right? Now you doing the fantastic job that you are going to do as a professional real estate agent, you're going to pull up this comp and you're going to say, Mr. Seller, this is the difference between a house that is 479 and a house that is 698. Your house right now has really dirty carpet, and your house right now has this and this and this missing, and you have carpet in the bottom floor and this house doesn't, and you're missing some outdoor living. So do you have a budget to make some repairs? No, I don't have a budget. Great, you're going to get 479 or so. Do you have a budget to make repairs? Yeah, I have $50,000. Fantastic, here's how you're going to spend your money. So that's a side tangent
But it's important for you to know that that side tangent actually applies to what you're doing. Because when you're renovating properties, it tells you where you should spend the money, right? So by comparing these two properties right now, we know that if we spent, well, let's look at it this way. If we spent 50 grand, do you guys think 50 grand would be enough to get this property in the same shape? Probably. Probably.
It has a lot of potential.
Yeah, because it's just carpet, it's just.
Yeah, it's just flooring. It's just flooring in one stair, in one story, and you're going to build a pergola outside and add a barbecue pit. You're probably going to spend less than 50 grand. But I'm just saying, if we threw a big number at it, and they spent an extra 50 grand to get an extra almost 200 grand, is that a worthwhile investment? Okay, so this is where all of this knowledge starts making sense, because now you can consult someone and say, Mr. Seller, if I was looking at this from my investment eyes, with my investment hat, this is how I would look at this. I would look at the potential to either get 698 or to get 479. Do you have the ability to do these repairs? Right? All right. But for the purpose of our class, we're learning what we can potentially call our ARV. So because we now know what we can get if we put really nice flooring and add some outdoor living, I want to see what the difference between those and the ones that are 527 and 540 are. All right. But before I get to that, I want to check one simple thing that we all forgot to look at.
The sold price per square foot.
We're going to look at that as well. This one got 165, but I also want to see, when did this close? Look at this. Last month. Right?
698.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, hang on, because one of the things that we now have to do is we have to look at,
Fair markets.
yes, because the market that we're closing in right now is different than it was 6 months ago, okay? It's crazy, I know. This is nuts. All right, let's look at the 527 one real quick. And just so we can jump ahead on this, we're going to look at the fact that it closed just a month prior to the last one. Are you seeing some craziness? All right, but here's what else I'm seeing. Look at this.
Yeah.
It needed $9,000 in seller's contributions towards. Looks like closing costs, or it could have been repairs for all we know.
Or they could have been motivated just to get out of the house.
Or they could have been very motivated, right? Let's look at the house.
And it
Looks nice.
Very
Looks
nice.
pretty nice. Looks like they staged it well.
Nice pictures.
They have some designer colors, nice
Yeah, a
pictures.
little outdated, but not too much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The kitchen is probably not at the level that the other one is, but it isn't bad.
But it's updated, it's modern.
Yeah.
They changed out the lighting. They
Look
made
at that. It's a decent house, right?
Cute, yeah.
Good looking house, carpet upstairs, just like the other one. Oh, look what it's missing.
The outdoor.
The grill.
It's just missing an outdoor pergola and an outdoor grill. Wow. Isn't that crazy? I would even say this one has access. Does this look like a walking trail?
Yeah, it looks
I think
like-
so.
Yeah.
I think that looks like a walking trail. Or what is that? No, that's just water.
Looks like a ditch or
Yeah,
something.
Ah. Okay, so these are just neighborhood features. That ditch probably could be a deterrent for someone that wants to buy it. I don't think I would like living right next to a ditch. All right. Interesting. They got what was it? 527 minus $9,000 in sales contributions. I would say that this was a motivated seller, for sure, right?
Yeah.
But now we're kind of seeing a couple things. What did you guys see in terms of the finishes on that? Was it much different from the other one?
No,
It's
not really.
granite, right? Like that's the common theme there, granite countertops?
It was granite. It wasn't like a super high level. It was just, it was probably like a level
Similar.
2.
It's similar.
It's similar.
Just different colors, different.
Let's look at one more real quick, and we have to move on because I want to cover a whole lot of stuff and don't have enough time. Let's look at this last one. Okay. Good looking house from the front. Now, if you sell houses in these areas, anytime that they have the stone face, that's an upgrade typically by the builder. Some people really like it. All right, look, they put in new flooring, but I see carpet. Is that the first floor or second floor? This picture is kind of, do you see how this picture just threw us off?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's out of order.
don't be that agent.
Yeah.
Is this in the second floor or the first floor? What is this?
Second.
Like, why do I need to see this? I don't understand. You see that? All right. We're going to call this agent out. They got decent pictures, but just no common sense.
It's a nice house.
Yeah.
The light fixtures look like it was what it came with, not
Mm-hmm.
nothing updated,
All
but everything else
builder
is
grade.
very nice, yeah.
It looks like mostly builder grade,
Yeah.
right? Like they did a good job on getting it from the builder, and then now they're ready to resell it. But that floor is not builder, so they did upgrade the flooring. They've done some things to it. They probably painted that fireplace, and they've done a good job. It's pretty standard bathroom. It looks like all the bathrooms are about the same, right? So what's the major difference between all of our comps?
The
The-
That outdoor,
Yeah,
Kitchen.
that outdoor kitchen.
Yeah.
program.
that's it. That's the major difference here, right? So if you're buying this house, and you're the buyer, somebody bought it for $185, are you going to factor outdoor kitchen or no outdoor kitchen?
To do everything anyway.
You got to do everything anyway.
Yeah,
Why
I
not?
would.
Factor in outdoor kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Because it gives you the opportunity to shoot for this number up here. And they got $165 a foot. These other properties got $149. What's $165 a foot? What's $165 a foot times, what is our square footage? 3459? Where does that put us?
570,000.
570? Yeah. And these other ones we're selling at the 527, 540. Oh, look at that. We ran into something interesting there. So if you can get 540 without putting on the outdoor kitchen, or 570 with the outdoor kitchen, what's the best return on your investment there?
Well, how much is it to put the outdoor kitchen?
Okay? What if it's 30 grand? Is there a return on investment?
It's
No.
almost not worth it, yeah.
Right, because it's going to take you time, and you're just going to get your money right back,
Right.
right? Those are forks on the road that you run across when you're putting your project together and you're saying, okay, I can get I thought I could get 698, but actually this house was way bigger than my house. But once I factor in the actual price per square footage times the house that I'm buying, it really puts me at 570. So if I can get 540 for this house, top market, and it's going to take 30 grand to get an outdoor kitchen set up, then do I even want to do this outdoor kitchen, or is this thing just going to take me more time, right?
What about the holding cost? On the one is 60 days, and the other one's 220 days. What's going on with that?
What did you see, 220?
Like the first one you have highlighted is 60 days.
Yeah?
It's a little star to it, so it means it was in the market before.
Nice, let's look at that. I love that. That's a great question.
Good question.
97 days.
Because we got to pay interest on that, right?
That's right. So the loan amount the potential loan amount for this property was how much? 360?
60.
And if you're paying 12%, then you can break that down really easily to approximately 1% per month. 12% per year, 12 months, 1% per month. You with me? So if your loan amount is $360, how much is your payment? 1% would be $3,600.
Yeah.
There you go. Do you see how that worked? Okay. Have you guys ever heard of DSCR loans?
No.
Oh, I can't wait to tell you guys about them.
Say it
The
again.
important part, we're going to talk about that, hold that thought,
Okay.
because I have a slide on it. The important part is that I just showed you how to calculate the 1% rule, and if you can find properties that meet the 1% rule, then it gives you an option to keep more properties. So we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But do you see how I calculated what my payment was going to be on a hard money loan? Okay? All right. And of course, once you refinance, your payment's going to be lower, right? Like instead of paying 12%, you're going to get, how much is your current interest rate right now on an investment mortgage? What do you guys think it's going for right now?
8.25.
About 8.5 right now. 8.5, you probably might even get into the 9s right now. And will that change? Well, if anybody actually could tell you that, they'd have to have a crystal ball and then they wouldn't be in real estate, right? Maybe they'll go down a little bit. That's what some of the experts are projecting. But yes, of course, we're paying as investors more than market average. So if market average is right now anywhere between 6 to 7%, you're going to pay a couple points more than that just on an investment loan once you refinance. Okay, that's just standard. Now, the other portion of that is the thing that most people haven't thought about right now, and which is where we're going to make a ton of money as realtors, is that investors didn't realize that taxes were going to go up so much year to year that now properties are not cash flowing anymore. They're just not making money. So how can you take advantage of that? Well, you now know that that's a problem in the market, and now you can talk to people about that problem and bring solutions, which is you need to sell this piece of property to buy something else that will cash flow, right? And that's what a lot of people are going to do. I've already started selling a piece of my portfolio for the same exact reason. Okay? I had one property, I had a couple of them, but one that went up $100,000 year over year in taxes. It wiped away my cash flow. No reason for me to keep it.
I think soon there's going to be a partial solution for that with the cap on investment properties, or they're working on
I
it.
hope so. Now they did just release some solutions for homeowners, or for homestead properties. There's so far nothing for investors, and that is a potential for chaos for a lot of people. So in the meantime, until there's a solution in place that the government will put in place, we have an opportunity. We have people that need to sell. And if you followed anything that we're doing, whether coming to our classes or coming to our events or just even listening to us online, right now is the time that we look for people that need to buy or sell, not necessarily the ones that want to buy or sell. Right now is the need. Right now we look for those. Sometimes when the market's right, we chase the wants, or we let them chase us, either one. But right now it's need. And this is a need that people are going to have right now. All right, so based on this, was the fee schedule, was this guy's estimate of $515 a reasonable amount that this property would appraise for? I think so, right? Like he was actually coming in pretty reasonable, right?
Maybe even a little bit more.
I think so. I completely agree with you. And I would look at the next step on this is coming up with a potential rehab estimate, and I would even say that he could go both routes. He could go build the pergola and the outdoor kitchen because he's going to have to rebuild everything anyway, or just not do it and save a little bit of time because Juan said something really important. Maybe if it takes him an extra month, he doesn't want to pay the extra holding cost, the extra $3,600 in holding costs, right? Either one of those I will look at and I will say, well, it either makes sense or doesn't make sense, but still the numbers look really good. So I think at $515 he would have sold it in no time because our comparable has us at $540. So we could come in with a brand new property, something completely rehab with an outdoor kitchen. Even at $530 or $535, we're probably going to sell first before this one does. Would you agree? And that's the only reason why our active comp was even highlighted or important, just as a double check to make sure that we could still be marketable in today's market should we list it, right? Now this one did have that outdoor patio. Yes, ma'am.
Would this be a good hold?
That's a great question. We're going to look at that. Would it be a good flip though? What do you think? Yeah. So who's got the calculator out? I promised you guys we were going to do some math. You guys didn't think we were going to do math today. And in a minute we're going to take a little break to let your brains rest, because I know how difficult math can be for all of us.
As long as you don't throw algebra in here, we're good.
Oh,
Just add in some.
we're going to get into some Pythagorean theorem here in just a minute.
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and just say that this house is approximately worth about $530,000, maybe even $535,000. Let's call it $535,000. Would you guys agree? All right, now you guys are going to go ahead and multiply that times 70%.
Okay.
Okay, and then you're going to reduce. This guy paid $185,000 for it, so we're just going to see what's left over. So what's the loan amount? The 70%?
374,500.
374. Okay. Now deduct 185 from that.
189,500.
189,500. Okay.
Deduct how much?
185.
185.
Okay.
185,500.
Times 70.
Okay. All right. We're going to take a 5-minute break. In just a minute, as soon as we get back, because I want to cover this last part with you before we get into some other stuff. I want to show you the actual numbers now that we've run them, and what the actual rehab estimate was, and what this guy would actually end up bringing. Okay. And then we won't have time today because we're running low already to put a rehab estimate together. But what I'll do is I'll send you my rehab estimate sheet. How about that? Would that work for you guys? I'll send you a copy. You guys too. You'll have a copy in your file. You can use this loan worksheet to understand how a loan would work, and you can use a rehab estimate to put together your potential rehab estimates. And in the follow-up classes, we'll spend a little bit more time on how to put that rehab estimate together. Remember that you guys are going to be able to come and retake any amount of follow-up classes for this class as many times as you want. Okay? Is that fair? Is that cool? What that also means is that we're going to speed through some of the next parts, because I do believe in starting it maybe on time. Okay? And just so you guys know, we are at 3 p.m. today. For those of you that really want to take your business to the next level, we are having a power hour, it's a call hour, where we coach you, guide you on how to make phone calls to potential clients. If you don't have your own clients, your own sphere of influence, we'll give you some. Okay, so there's no excuse. That starts at 3 p.m. today. All right, we're going to go on a quick commercial break. I'm going to pull up the spreadsheet, and we're going to go over the actual numbers.
Sexy body, but now get ready for the drop, 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 drop. You know. my body shaking, shaking, sexy body, you're up in some Ferrari. My body shaking, 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 sexy body, you're up in some Ferrari. Your body, you're up in some Ferrari. Your body, shaking, 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 mommy.
promised you guys that I was going to show you the real numbers on this. And just so that everyone is clear, this is a loan that we passed up on. So we did not end up funding this purchase for many reasons, and here's why. Okay? So our number on this, once we did our analysis, was 540 for a potential after repair value. Okay?
That's the number y'all got.
That's what we got. Okay? We verified that with a third-party appraisal company. Okay? Both came back at 540. So we do a preliminary search, preliminary analysis, and then third-party company for safety does an analysis as well to make sure that there's no bias on putting a loan like this together.
And lenders usually do that.
Lenders usually do that. Private lenders don't do it as much, but that's how private lenders lose money. Okay, because private lenders sometimes go by gut feeling, and this is not a gut feeling business. I'm not selling feel good,
Yeah.
right?
But we don't do that. We do everything.
Yeah, we do things right, okay? So here's what ended up happening. The 540, the investor was really happy about it, because what happened to his loan amount?
It
It went up, right? So he got a loan amount of 378, and he was like, yeah, this is great, right? And then he kept the points at 3%, and everyone was going to make good money, and we were all happy. There was a hazard insurance change. He originally thought 16 or 17, and it was like $2,700, $2,600. And so that changed just slightly. And even if he did buy it at 185, originally he was thinking 260, the real rehab number came back at 240. Do you remember what his original rehab number was? 100. And this is why, this is the next part of our conversation, is when you decide to get into this business, it isn't what it used to be when you help dad paint the house when it comes to cost. It just isn't. Everything has multiplied so many times, 5 times at least, that this is where people will lose money. And this is why I'm bringing this to your attention. And this is why I'm giving you, as part of today's class, a rehab sheet. Because whenever you calculate your rehabs, you can guesstimate at it at first to figure out if it's worth looking at or if it's worth spending the time doing more research on it. But you're not going to buy that house without actually putting a rehab sheet together. And your lender, because you're going to get a lender at least for the first few times, will do the exact same thing to verify. And thankfully, we sent this loan out to a rehab estimation company, and they came back and said this property will likely either need to be torn down, or if you rebuild it, you have to rebuild the safety, the structural part of the property, which means demoing some more, taking it down to the studs, and then rebuilding from there. Okay, so it's basically a full rebuild. You're not going to do a full rebuild right now in this market for $100 grand. And so when we said, Mr. Buyer, really, I know you thought it was 100, but really it's 240. What do you think he said?
I got my own contract.
I got my Yes, how did you know that? Yes, that's exactly what he said. And we said, well, no, that doesn't work that way. Because once you get into the project, Mr. Buyer, if you once you realize that 100 grand is not going to take you very far, and we have to take that property back because you're going to dump it, we need to have a margin in there that will allow us to fix it up and be able to resell it later. And that 70%, that is the margin. The difference between the 378 and the 540 is a 30% margin of error, and that's why an investor would take that risk with you. But if you're telling me that it's only 100 because that's what your guys are going to cost, but in reality it's going to cost really 240, that gets rid of that margin of error. So that's why a lender would pass up on that, and that's why we did it. Okay? Not to mention that he was expecting about an $18,000 out of pocket, and look what his out of pocket really was. Right? Now, don't get me wrong. I would have probably done this deal at $65,000 out of pocket, because I know it was going to sell probably in 5 days or less, and it would have been a brand new house, and it would have been a great property for us to make some money on. Because even if you do the math on this, I would have owed $378. I would have been out of pocket $64,000. Remember that we were going to do some math together? Who's got their calculators out?
What you got?
So we owe $378. We're out of pocket $64,000. And a project like this is going to take approximately a year. So our payment, you see it right here, is $38.55. Okay, so we're going to do $38.55 times 12. And there are people that are going to get this done in less time, but we're being really, 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 really careful
We
here.
like wiggle room.
Yes. Okay. Now, where does that put us?
46,260.
Okay, so 46,000 plus 378 plus how much? 64. That's 488, and it's worth 540. Well, this is beautiful, because at face value, I'm looking at it and I'm like, hey, there's still a pretty good little spread. But look at this. There's only $52,000 left over after you put everything.
That's too little, right?
And you still have to pay what?
Closing costs.
And you still have to pay closing costs.
Putting in a pocket, we can
Yeah, and how much are closing costs at like 540? How much are closing costs?
3% of that, right?
Well, and the question is, are you going to pay yourself if it's your flip? Because I pay myself.
And the agent, you pay agents to list it, right? Or
I pay myself. I pay myself to list it. But I still have to pay a buyer's agent, right? And then I still have to pay title fees, right? So what is that all really going to cost us? Maybe like 7.5%? Maybe 7.5%, right? All right, so 540, remember we only had $52,000 in margin, times 0.7.5%. Somebody do the math on that?
40,500.
Uh-huh. How much did you actually make on this?
40,000.
About $12,000. So the question is, are you willing to do a project for $1,000 a month? And the answer is probably no, right?
Is it good to hold? No.
Maybe.
It would be good to keep. For
Yeah,
you.
Maybe. It's possible. It's possible. It depends on your tolerance of pain, right? Because you're going to go through a 1-year process to buy a house that, yeah, will be brand new after all. But is it worth holding? So,
Yeah, and then higher end homes, in order to rent them, it's kind of a headache.
The-
Yeah, higher end
It's
homes.
high.
It's too much.
okay, so if you want to look at that, give me 1 second. How are we going to find out if it's worth holding, Elda?
We do a CMA rental.
Uh-huh, real quick. We're going to do one real quick because we have to move on, and we're going to figure out, because we know it's not really worth us flipping it. But I will tell you, if I don't have a really good margin between what I'm into it for completely and then what I eventually can sell it for, I probably won't keep it either. I'm already thinking not keeping this one. But we're going to see what the numbers will tell us first, because I actually originally told you I would flip it, and then when we did the numbers, I said, heck no, right? And that's why doing the numbers is important. All right. Okay, so let's do this. Let's figure out what properties are leasing for in that general area. Now, I know you look at your comps totally different than me. I'm okay with that. I'm weird. I like to do about a half-a-mile radius at first, see what kind of data we get. Okay, there's some data there. Remember, we have a 3,100. 3,100?
32.
You guys are throwing a ton of different ones out there. It doesn't matter because we only go up to about 3,000 and look what the payment is,
Yeah.
right? So you can get about it looks like you can get about $1 a foot. All right. So I think we were actually like 3,400 square feet. So we're gonna get maybe $3,400 for rent. We're buying it for, who's got their calculators out? We're buying it for 185, according to the person that purchased it.
Okay.
And then we know we have to put 240 into it, plus closing costs. We're probably another 10 grand at least into it. So that's 434. 434, and we're gonna get 3,400. The question for you is, can our payment cover our cost? If the answer is no, then it's an immediate pass. If the answer is yes, then the next question is, will I cash flow? Okay? And how much will I cash flow? And if I cash flow enough, then yeah, I'll keep it. Yeah, I'll keep it, right? In this case, it's an easy answer because I'm not gonna cash flow, I'm gonna lose money, and I'm not gonna be able to get a loan for this unless I bring more money as a down payment. And so this is where that loan program that we talked about a while ago is gonna become incredibly important for you. All right, so let's talk about some of these things. We talked about how to calculate cost. I'm gonna give you guys the rehab estimate. If you didn't have a purchase price already, what would you realistically want to offer for this property? Now you know what the rehab estimate came back at, you know what the ARV came back at, so it's the same formula, we're just going to work it a little bit different. We're going to work it backwards this time. You with me? So we're going to take that 540, multiply it by 70%, and that gives us how much? 370 something, right?
378.
78? Okay, and we have certainty on how much it's going to take to rehab it, which is how much?
240?
So we're going to take 378 minus 240.
138.
Uh-huh. That would have been the right number. 138. Now, that's what we can offer. What should we offer?
100.
Maybe. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
I would have said this is worth the dirt.
Yeah.
And I have to either scrape it or I have to fully rebuild it. And, you know, Mr. Seller, how much is this dirt worth? Tell me what this dirt is worth because that's about where I'm going to be at. Right? Now, somebody bought this for 185. You think they're going to do okay on it? No, realistically, like, let's talk serious.
It might break even, maybe.
Depends if how you structure the loan, right? Interest and if it's cash deal or if it's their own or.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If it's all their cash.
Their own
Yep.
money, their money.
You do see some people that run into cash sometimes and they don't think ahead or they aren't really concerned with return on investment. Just any return is better than sitting in the bank. That is a possibility. Yeah, so somebody actually could walk away making money on this. The reality is, if you're bringing in a lending partner, if you're working on leveraging your money and you're working on building the business, you have to pass on this simply because there's just not enough at the end for the time that you're going to spend in it. And so everything around this business revolves around time versus money. And we don't think about that enough sometimes in our industry. Like, we want to do such a good job that I see realtors that will show, like I read something about somebody showing like over 100 houses to a client. And I was like, why, right? People do that. That's not uncommon. And because we, in wanting to please others, we lack respect for our own time. You with me? This business is really transparent and it hits you really in the shorts if you forget that your time is worth money. It hurts when you don't put that into perspective. All right? Okay, so with that said, let's talk about what we should have bought that property for. And just out of curiosity, what do you think the actual value is worth on this dirt? You guys want to take just a quick stab at it? What do you think the dirt value is just per HCAD? Let's see. Anybody want to take a guess? 200. I heard a 200.
150.
I heard a 200. That's really $64,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I mean, you could still comp that. There might be lots selling for more than that. You know, HCAD always has its own discrepancies. But it probably wouldn't have been crazy to offer $100,000 for this, right? It probably wouldn't have been. Somebody else took a stab on it. Somebody else took the risk on it. Somebody else took the opportunity to either make something or make nothing. But this is why, if you understand the numbers, then you figure out what's it going to be worth your time to do. Maybe you take a project that will make you $20,000, $30,000 a year. And as you grow in this business, you start learning to value your time more and more, and you say, well, I'm not taking a project unless I can make at least 6 figures, because it's going to take me all year, and I need to be able to make that and fit in a margin of error. Okay? All right. So, any questions on any of this so far? Yes?
For you to accept it, what, or for your investment company, what's the percentage of dollar amount that you expect to make to accept a project?
I think it depends on how long that project's going to take me, right? Because we did a project this year. In 3 months, we were in and out 100%, literally like bought it and had already closed it and funded 3 months exact, and we made $40,000. 1 month of that, a month and a half of that was repairs. The other month and a half was preparing for market, and then 1 month of being on market for like a week and then closing like a few weeks later. It was just about as perfect of a project as can be from ending or start to end. And we sat down and we said, well, you know, $40,000 split 2 ways, because it was a deal that an agent brought to us that we partnered with. We each made $20,000. And then we looked at it even further and we said, well, we made $20,000 in 3 months, right? And we had a partner that did half of the work. It didn't take a bunch of extra time from our people. And believe it or not, if I had 10 of those, I would pick that if I had 10 of those, I'd make $200,000, but I would pick those over doing one project that would pay me $200,000 that would take me 2 years. You see what I'm saying? So it's time versus money. If I could do 20 of those in 1 year versus one $200,000 project in 2 years, I would for sure take that any day of the week. So what is my minimum? Obviously there is a minimum. I don't know what it really is, because if you give me a project that I'm going to make $10,000 on in a month, I'll jump on that, right? And if you give me one that I'm going to make $100,000 on in a year, I'll think about it, because it's a year, right? I think all of that comes down to what you're trying to achieve. What are you trying to do? So for us, it was simple. It was, I needed to create a separate income stream. I needed to bring my wife into the business, and she had a talent, and so now she manages all of our projects, and she's a very talented designer, and so she manages all of these projects. And for us, if she can make a fantastic 6-figure income that she can't make anywhere else, and she came from teaching, imagine that, then that is a success for us. On top of that, we're building passive income along the way, because we're not selling all of them anymore like we used to. And that was the key on everything that we were putting together when we were building this part of the business. All right, and that kind of takes me to the next part here, is to flip or not to flip. And I'll tell you, there are properties that you definitely want to flip, and a lot of people will flip in the beginning of their careers, but it's just like living paycheck to paycheck, okay? Because it does take time, especially in the beginning, and it's going to take time away from what you're already doing. And if you let it take time away from your current business, then it absorbs all of your time. And remember that it's a very volatile business that is moved by the market and can change in any minute. And so when I got caught in that, I got caught without really thinking ahead. And that's when White Picket went from just being an investment company to, hey, we actually need to work on helping more and more people with their buying and their selling, because that creates consistency. Because there's way more people that want to buy and people that want to sell than there are investment properties that are perfect or fit the numbers perfectly, right? So we can run two things. We can run two businesses in this industry and do really well at them without each one of them consuming us. We can have a project that's consistently running on the side while we're continuously building a business that is helping others, and that's what's feeding one to the other, right? Now, it's nice every once in a while when you close a transaction and you get an extra nice big paycheck, even if it's a $20,000 or $30,000 paycheck, or if it's more than that, even better. But it's really nice, right? Those are like the bonuses. Those are the cherries on the top, the icing on the cake. But if you don't have a cake, and then you don't get the cherries, then you have nothing. And that's the important part of this, is don't go out there and listen to all the noise that tells you flipping is gonna solve all your problems. It's not. Here's what will solve your problems. What will solve your problems is consistently adding assets to your net worth. What do I mean by that? If you added one property, one this year, and one next year, and so on, in 10 years you'd have 10 properties, and we can talk about how much they would appreciate, but if you would have bought them 3 years ago, we're talking about an appreciation on those 10 properties of approximately 20 to 30%. So some people out there, the ones that thought a little bit further ahead, they made 6 figures just on the properties that they were holding without having to do anything else. And that's where the power of all of this comes into play. And so because of that, the next best kept secret in this industry is something called DSCR loans. I will tell you.
What is the requirements for your investment loans?
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
We're going to get to that. I will tell you that Juan and I agreed not to date ourselves today and tell you guys how old we really are. DSCR loans haven't always existed, and chances are they will not exist forever. That's just simply the way the industry works. These opportunities open up, and then the market crunches, and the interest rates go up too much, or things change, and then they close up. If you remember, that's right. And then not just that. Just recently, we had a lender that was doing a 100% loan, 100% loan for homeowners with no PMI. You guys know how long that lasted?
7 months.
That's right.
Yep.
I was working with him.
Yep. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, DSCR loans probably won't dry up in 7 months, but what I'm trying to tell you is that you take advantage of them while they're there, because they didn't exist when I first started my career, which is one of the things that pushed me into flipping more. And had that been available, had that option even have been a potential for me, I think I would be in a different place in life. Nonetheless, no looking back, it exists now, and you have the tools, and you have the options, and you have the ability to take this information and really move with it. Now, there's one thing you need to know about a DSCR loan. One thing. It requires for the property to pay itself. And it works on something called a 1% rule. Okay? Besides that, it's just a regular loan. It just doesn't require all the nonsense that most other loans require. They do have to check your credit, because you have to have good credit if you're in this industry. Because you shouldn't be out helping people with the most important financial decision of their life if you can't manage your own credit. Okay? Sorry, I said it. Some people won't like me for that. I understand that. And I've gotten bad feedback from that when I've said it in the past, but I just wholeheartedly believe that that's the case. That's the case. If we want to step up our game in this industry, we need to step up to being more than door openers, and we need to be people of value. And by bringing value, we can then start having people look at us in the real estate business as more of a consultant. Kind of like when you reach out to a financial consultant, and that financial consultant reaches out to you once a year and says, hey, here's how your financial is doing. Here's what your financials are doing. Here's what your stocks are doing, or here's what your investments are doing, and what do you think? These are the options. We can go in that direction, right? But it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of work, because there's still people out there that bring no value to the table, and they don't think about the things that we're talking about today. This is a very high-level conversation. So 1% means that if the house is worth $200,000, 1% of that is how much? So how much should your payment on that house be after everything's said and done for? $2,000 or less. Okay? Now, if you're buying that house, if it's worth $200,000, and you're buying that house at $150,000 and it needs $50,000 in repairs, is that a loan that lender is willing to take? Probably, because 1% covers your note. However, if you want to be zero money out of pocket when you refinance this investment property into that long-term loan that doesn't require a bunch of bank statements and doesn't require proof of income, and it doesn't require proof of pretty much anything. You just have to have good credit. And if you want that to go smoothly, then the difference between the loan that they're going to give you and the loan that you already have is a 5% gap. What I mean by that is they're going to give you a 75% loan to value. You remember how we did a 70% loan to value? They're going to give you a 75% loan to value. Believe it or not, they were up to about 80% just about 6 months ago. And the game was to take as many properties as you can and refinance them at 80% and take money out. Because money borrowed, write this down, money borrowed is money earned. However, it's money that's not taxed. Woo! It's non-taxable income. Don't tell the IRS I told you that. They haven't figured that one out just yet, and they might. They're looking into it. They're trying to change things. They're looking real hard to try to figure out how to tax you on the money that you're taking out from your investment properties that you're borrowing. But they just can't figure it out just yet, but it's coming. It's going to happen eventually. Right? So that 75% loan should cover your 70% loan completely, plus those additional closing costs that you're going to have, because that's just part of life. You pay closing costs. Right? And then now you're in a full 30-year mortgage, fully amortized mortgage. How many DSCR loans do you think you can get as a realtor?
As many as long as they pay for
You qualify.
Mm-hmm. We still haven't found how deep that well goes. And so far, the most I've seen is about 25. You can just keep going. And different lenders will still have their own well of funds to put into that.
What does DSCR mean?
Debt to service coverage ratio. Okay, so if I'm going to summarize, because I do have to summarize, is the goal to flip more houses or to rent more houses?
Flip.
Flip, why?
Yeah. Rentals.
Then rent? I like it. I like where you're going.
I have bad experience with rentals, that's why.
You have bad experience with rentals.
Mhm.
Got it.
I invest more money than what I was thinking I was gonna make in a year.
Yep.
Because they destroy the whole house
Yeah.
and turn out, no more rentals.
Got it.
I feel with rentals, you constantly have to be putting money back into it.
Yes.
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 No doubt.
That's been our experience.
Yeah, me
With
too.
our
Yep.
one, and after that, I'm like, yeah, no. But then I do want it because it does pay my taxes.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Yeah.
year,
Okay.
that
Mhm.
helps.
You get a huge write-off, don't you?
No, I don't because we don't.
Ah,
We
but you
just-
can.
But you're right.
We're gonna erase that part. We're gonna erase that part from the.
I don't claim it, but it helps pay for my property taxes.
Yeah, there you go. So yes, there are pros and cons to renting and pros and cons to flipping, and I think that there's people out there that may find a way to create a real business out of flipping houses. But I want to also remind you guys that even the biggest guys, the biggest guys that are hedge funds that have bought hundreds of thousands of properties have recently seen huge losses. One of them being Open Door, and many of them have even closed down. Zillow's not buying houses anymore. They used to, right? There is the added benefit that comes from having a rental is that, yes, you may have the tenant that may destroy your house here and there, but you can also reduce that risk by having more properties, or by having a property manager, or by being more diligent in how you're checking on your properties. All of these things have solutions to them, but most importantly is when you have that first batch of 10 properties and they all go up by 30% like they did 2 or 3 years ago, or in the last 2 or 3 years, and you make 6 figures passively, you sleep a little bit better at night. It helps, okay? Because the rest of the market, the rest of the people are going to the grocery store right now and they're thinking, how the heck am I going to make this, right? And you're going to have to pick what side of that you're on. And we're all going to have to do that. We're either going to be on the winning or the losing side. That's how all of these shifts work. Last but not least, I also want to remind you that when the deal just doesn't make sense for you and you don't want to keep it or you don't want to flip it, you can always wholesale it. There are so many other ways to make money in this industry. And that's the next part, is there's ways to make money all over the place. If you're not going to wholesale that deal out to another investor, then get paid a commission for representing him on the purchase, him or her. Negotiate, before you sell that deal to that investor, negotiate for you to be the listing agent. Why not? Why shouldn't you? If you're bringing him deals, you need to be the listing agent. And you need to capitalize on getting all of his listings. Now, I will tell you, most investors aren't going to want to pay you full price for all of their listings. Okay? So don't expect to get a full 3%. Just don't. Find a way to negotiate something that works for you and something that works for them. I see a lot of agents that'll do a 1.5%, 2%, some less, depending on how many they're getting. Okay? They're also getting a ton of buyers out of it, because each listing leads you to at least 1.5 new buyers. Right? So there's another potential way to make some money. Now, you can't actually represent the seller and the buyer in Texas. You guys know that, right? Okay, good. But you can refer that buyer that wants to buy your listing to your friend in the same brokerage, right? And that friend can pay you a referral fee for doing that, and you can figure out how much that is between each other. Okay? You see how that works? Now you just added another check. So check number 1 is getting paid for finding deals. That's check number 1. Check number 2 is getting paid once it's finished. And in between, check number 3 is getting paid for bringing them the funding. Okay? Are you with me so far? So remember when we looked at that budget a while ago? And we said, this is what it's going to look like in order for you to put the deal together. And we said there's going to be 3 points involved. You see that little 3 right there? Okay. A good lender partner will offer you a piece of that. okay? For our partners, the ones that have done well with us, we've gotten them up to 1%. So out of those $11,000 or $10,000 for bringing that loan, that client, that agent that brought us this one would have made $3,000. It's pretty darn good. Would you agree? So this is how you can build that. And guys, there's tons of lenders out there that you can negotiate that with. Tons of them. Don't stop at one. If you're going to bring someone a good solid loan, figure out what their plan is. What is their compensation plan? And if they don't have a compensation plan, look for a new partner. Okay? Now they can't pay you that in a commission. So I will stick my brokerage hat in there as a broker owner. So if you're going to set that up, come talk to me, especially if you're one of my agents, and I'll show you how to set it up legally. But don't go out there and say, I need a commission for bringing you this loan. Don't do that. Okay? Trek will haunt you, and they will haunt me too. And I don't want that. Let's keep everything legal. So when you run into that scenario, or when you're ready to go in that route, come talk to me. I'll show you how to set it all up, and we can make this easy. All right? Last but not least, I want to talk to you guys about our 5-4-3-2-1 plan, because you guys said that you didn't know how to get started, and I know you're hungry, and we're going to eat in just a few minutes. This is the plan that we're running right now here at White Picket Realty. You guys feel free to keep this, use it at your own brokerages. I don't want to hold any of this from you, because right now, what we're going through is going to require all of us to work well together. Okay, so if you're part of anywhere else, feel free to share. Here's how you get out of the rut. Here's how you push forward. Here's how you stop wondering if things are going to work or not work. Things will work. Okay? You just got to do the right things. So the way that our plan for this starts at making the first 5 calls to the first hottest leads that you have. The people that said, hey, I'm ready to talk, I just didn't have time. Can you call me back tomorrow? The people that said, hey, I just need you to call me back on Wednesday because I'm busy at the moment. Or the people that say, hey, I'm ready to buy, I'm just waiting for the right house. Hot leads, people that are ready to try to transact with you or just ready to at least nurture their way to transacting with you. The first 5 are the first ones that we call every single time, every single day, because that creates good momentum. Actually, it creates good momentum, and what else does it create? Can you guess? Have you guys ever had the jitters in the morning when you make phone calls? Wait. There you go. There you go. It boosts your confidence, right? And if you don't make phone calls every day, it's okay. I'm not going to pick on you too much. But I will tell you that as we get out of this market where we were babied, we were swaddled or coddled or whatever the word is, and when we could put up a house and it would sell in 3 days, or we could bring any buyer that wanted to buy and they'd get a 3% mortgage, as we get out of that market, the people that will survive on the other end are the people that are going to do the things that they need to be doing every single day, consistently. These are the things that work. These are the things that you need to be doing consistently. So if you got out of their routine, it's okay, it's no big deal. You got 3 months to get back into it. Because have you noticed, like, whatever you do right now shows up 3 months later, and like what you are getting today is in direct correlation to what you did 3 months ago. So if you forgot to prospect, or if you forgot to do something 3 months ago, right now, that's what you're dealing with, right? Well, my clients just can't buy right now. You just didn't prospect enough. Plain and simple. Well, I don't have new clients to get. Well, then you're not getting new leads. And you don't have enough time dedicated to bringing in enough leads so that you can prospect enough, so that you can have more clients in the pipeline, so that you can close the amount of people that need to buy. This is not rocket science. We just make it that way. 5 calls to 5 existing leads first, followed by 5 new leads. If you don't have 5 new leads, then the question is, what's keeping you from getting 5 new leads? 5 new leads cost something. They cost either time or they cost money. So plain and simple, if you don't have the time, you got to spend the money. If you don't have the money, you got to spend the time. 4 open houses have to happen from now on at least for the next 90 days until the market slows down in the last quarter, 4 open houses every single month, followed by 3 power hours. Power hours are where you get that out of your system. The whole I'm scared, I'm worried, or any of that nonsense, you got to get it out of your system. I don't want to sound like a telemarketer. Sorry. Telemarketers are making more money than us right now, and that's bullshit. Excuse my language for those folks out there. Somebody bleep that part. It's BS, because they're willing to do what other people aren't, right? 3 power hours. You can come here on Thursdays. Don't tell me you don't have any leads, because I'll give you leads. 2 hours of Smile and Dial daily is what it's going to be recommended. What happens when you Smile and Dial is that you set appointments. And by the way, when you're sitting in front of a client, whether it's a buyer, a seller, or someone that needs to sell their house, that's when you're making money. That's how you make money in this industry. You make money by speaking to people and having appointments. So the more appointments you have, the more what? The more money you make, plain and simple. And if you want to make more money, you just have to do what? Set more appointments. And if you want to set more appointments, you have to do what?
More prospecting.
More prospecting. You see how simple that is? You know it. You know it already. Last but not least, I recommend an equity review. If you don't know what that means, that's when you have a client that's already closed with you, and they've been in your system at least 1 year, and you sit down with them like a financial advisor, and you have an equity review session. That equity review session is where you tell them, hey, congratulations, you've done fantastic in your investment. You bought this house at $400, now it's worth $500. These are your options. I just wanted to relay the information to you. These are your options. Because I'm a professional, and I spend time doing this, and you don't have to, because I do it for you, right? If you don't have a client that you can reach out to that way, then you send out a CMA to a current seller in your database. And if you don't have that, or if you want to be a real rock star, you also look for one single investment opportunity on a daily basis. And the fastest and easiest way to look for investment opportunities that everyone is passing up on right now because they're looking for some golden ticket is right in front of you. It's on MLS. The last handful of deals that I've bought, including that 7-unit, I bought it directly from MLS. And all I did was set up a search that I looked through every single morning. And it doesn't matter if it fits my buy box or not. If it doesn't fit my buy box, I just know that it's going to fit someone else's. All right? Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to actually show you, because yes, we're out of time. Didn't actually get a chance to show you how to set those searches up, but we will add that as we continue having more of these classes, and you guys are all invited. I want you guys to come on out. I want you guys to develop this skill and really take this information with you. All right? I want to just really quickly thank our back office because they work so tirelessly on putting this together. So as you guys know, we're finishing it out. So let's just give a big giant round of applause to Adrian, to Brandon. Tricia helped put this together. There's Elizabeth in the back that's working. They work tirelessly to really make me look good and thin on camera. Last but not least, if you want to contact me for any reason, there's my contact information. Feel free. I don't know what happened there. There it is. There it is. If you want to contact me, that's how you do it. Feel free to contact me anytime. Just so that you don't get your feelings hurt, I am usually by appointment only, unless you text me and I'm out of a meeting. Okay? Yes. Are you reading my mind right now? Yeah. Okay. Last but not least, if you want your CE credits, that's the button for you to get them. We submit those 48 hours after this class is over. I have to have your license. Let me see. It's asking you for permission? Let me make sure that that's fixed before we lose. Let me see.
That's good.
not scanning?
It's not the right, it's not the right one anyway, it's asking for.
Oh, you
permission.
know what? Okay, I know why. Okay. No worries. You got this. Ready? Bam. Done. Not try.
No,
What's it telling you?
nothing, it just,
Oh, yours is just not scanning?
It needs the permission, needs the permission.
Okay. So for some people it's working. If it's not working for you, we'll have to send it out to you.
You have to open
It says the owner's organization tried to, yeah, something.
It says it's only open to white picket, that's why.
It shouldn't be. Just refresh that because it says anyone with the link is open. You guys want to come fix it?
There's a different setting where it says responded has to be white picket roads, which just turned out.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's exactly what it was. How did you know that?
I've done that once or twice.
No, you just wondered, but yeah, that's perfect. Awesome. All right, now you guys can try it. Where would I be without you guys?
got it,
Now it worked?
yes, it worked.
And that's why we gave Adrian a round of applause, because I'm still stuck in the 80s on technology. All right, guys. Last but not least, we do offer a 100% money-back guarantee on all of our classes. If you aren't 100% satisfied with today, if you didn't feel like you learned anything, last thing we are listening, and yes, we stick to our guarantees here. So, thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for your time. Real quick, answering options. I want to know how hard did we answer most of your questions today? Yes? Good. What questions did we not answer for you that you would like to learn more about so that we can add this to the next class?
For me, it's not necessarily a question, it's more the connections. You had mentioned that there's lenders out there that will let you can partner up with instead of like the gap funding.
Yeah.
Maybe something where it's like actually meeting, like lenders networking with those people, so if we get an opportunity, we can partner up.
Fantastic. The best networking, the best way to
Connect with other lenders besides me, and I'm going to give myself a very shameless plug there, is to go to our real estate rally. That's why we have that real estate rally for you guys. Because those are the people that are there. And all you need to do is talk to them and figure out how you can work with them, right? In the meantime, feel free to add me to your list. But I don't think I should be the only one. I think I'm a good option, but I'm not the only one for sure. Okay. At the rally, when you're there next time, which the rally is happening just around the corner, actually. I'm so glad you brought that up. Then let me know, and I can at least point you in the right direction. In fact, who here is registered for the rally? You are? Okay. If you're not registered for the rally, there's two things that need to happen. One, I suggest you follow us on Eventbrite. This is the absolute best way to find out what events we have coming up. You can scan that thing. It should work. I promise you. I didn't put any weird settings on it.
The thing,
Right?
scan that thing.
Scan that QR code thing.
He just set up his technology and he
Yeah.
said, scan that thing.
The VIP panel when you get the VIP ticket. Okay?
What is the rally?
Oh, did you just ask what is the rally?
No, when is the
Oh,
rally?
when?
No, when.
But
No,
she's
when.
never been.
No,
You've never been? Oh my goodness, you are in for a treat.
And if you stay long enough, we can dance.
Yeah, you are in for a treat. The rally is a networking event that we started building prior to COVID.
Okay,
prior to the pandemic, and it got up to about 1,000 registrations and 500 to 600 people showing up. And these are investors, realtors, lenders, professionals who are serious about growing their business. Now, after COVID, we're rebuilding it. We're getting to about 200 to 300 people now. So you're gonna have a good time. And there's DJ, there's music, there's a panel of experts who will teach you on different topics. So last rally we had a panel of experts that taught us about buying commercial properties. And this panel of experts coming up is about wholesaling properties. So if you've ever wanted to learn about wholesale investments or how to run a wholesale deal or even how to run a wholesale team, we're bringing 3 experts to the table to teach you guys everything you need to know. Okay? I do need to let you know that code expires tomorrow. So if you don't pick up your ticket today, I can't extend that. That's literally only for the people that are here today. All right? And it was just a perk.
Yeah, I will.
Invite everybody.
You can share that if you want. Okay, but it will not go past tomorrow. It expires today at midnight. Okay. The code is Money Moves, no space. Secret promo code Money Moves, no space. And guys, I will see you guys in the VIP room. I don't think I'll be on the panel this time, but I'll be there answering questions if you have any. If you have deals, if you have any potential clients that need funding or anything that you need, feel free to reach out. But that's today's class wasn't about that. It was about giving you guys options and empowering you. So, do you guys feel more empowered than when you started? Good. That was the point of today's class. That was the reason why we put this together. And we'll keep you guys updated on the next one. Now, besides that, who's hungry?
Everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being online. We're going to go ahead and close out our stream. We appreciate you guys all joining us today. We hope everyone took value from today's meeting. I look forward to reading all of your reviews, whether they're great comments or not so great comments. I aim to improve everything that we're doing on a consistent basis. And as we develop new classes, then I would love to see all of you participate and be part of those classes. Our leadership right now at White Picket Realty is really focused on creating consistency in bringing value to our agents. And by bringing value to our agents, our expectation is that you will bring more value to your clients and be seen as more than just a door opener. Be seen as a consultant, as a professional, as someone that can really help and contribute to someone's financial success. With that said, thank you guys for being on. We'll see you guys next time.